Okay, what did we learn today?
We learned that brainstorming doesn't have to make any sense in order to be useful.
Yeah, okay, so for the benefit of the people in TV land, brainstorming doesn't have to make sense to be useful. That's true. Good, what else did we learn?
Find the value system of researchers.
Learn the value system of your researchers. Absolutely, yes. What else?
There's no such thing as a dumb question.
There's no such thing as a dumb question. And the companion, there's no such thing as the right answer. Good, what else? What do we got? Anyone out in TV land? People are desperately trying not to make eye contact with the instructor. You made eye contact. What did you learn today, JP?
Oh, so the QA use all your tools to when you meet your PI to learn about his secret.
Yes, learn about their tools. Good. What else?
There are some great resources in organizations like CART and whatnot.
There are a ton of organizations who are out there to build the community of research computing facilitators and cyber infrastructure professionals in general, and they want to be useful to us. You know why they want to be useful to us? Because they're us, right? So all we have to do is make them be amazing. No pressure. Good, what else?
An oil reservoir is really a big rock with little holes.
Yes, an oil reservoir is a big rock with little holes, not a lake of oil. If there was a lake of oil, they tapped that 100 years ago. What else?
Can't provide the requested services, make sure there's a warm handoff for the master.
If you can't provide the requested service, make sure you give them a warm handoff to those who can. Very good. I like that phrase, warm handoff. Yes? Wait, say that again, only louder.
They fly a helicopter over power lines. They don't get frozen.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. The weird one is the people who crawl out on the power lines. Yeah. What else you got?
Is the power lines, can't they generate heat in some way to melt glass?
So has anybody heard about what happened when they changed the traffic signals from flood lamps to LEDs?
Like start freezing up?
Yeah, you actually can't use the lights in the dead of winter because the snow drifts onto the bulb, and because they're so efficient, they don't melt the snow the way the flood lamps. So flood lamps are terribly inefficient, and they convert a lot of their power to heat, which in the summertime is useless, but then you're not blocked with snow in the summertime. In the wintertime, they melt off the snow. The LEDs won't do that. So they need to make the LEDs less efficient in order for people not to crash into each other during wintertime. I'm not making that up. That's totally true. Yeah. That was a little bit of a tangent. What else we got?
There's teamwork involved in research.
Yes, research requires teamwork. Now, there are still lone PIs in their office doing good research. It's not the end of the single PI and the single investigator grant. But more and more people are doing not only multi-investigator projects, but multidisciplinary projects. And we are in an excellent position to help them because we have to learn how to work across discipline boundaries anyway. So we are now the beneficiaries of the fact that more and more science has to be done by multiple people from multiple disciplines.
You got TV land.
Oh, something in TV land. Researchers' outreach is a challenge no matter which group you're from. Or add wipers to lights. Yeah, okay, that's a little bit different. That'd be really cool though, wouldn't it? Like, yeah, cool. Yeah, and you're constantly having to do that outreach because there are always new researchers, especially in academic institutions. There are new faculty, there are new postdocs, there are new grad students, there are new undergrads, there are new administrators. Every semester there's somebody new that needs to know that you're there. They might hear it from their colleagues, but they might not. Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to the difference between speaking to a new faculty member versus an existing faculty member that's not using resources?
The difference between talking to a brand new faculty member versus a faculty member who has been around a long time but doesn't use the local resources. The brand new faculty member probably comes in with one of the following. Either a much smaller set of preconceptions of what it is or ought to be, or a much bigger set of preconceptions of what it is or ought to be, and a misaligned set of preconceptions because it's different from what they had at their previous institution. Right. And it's very common to have a conversation with a new faculty member, and they will say in that conversation, so at my previous institution, they did this, that, and the other. You will look better if what you can offer them is superior to what they had at the previous institution, including, and perhaps especially, the facilitation component of it. You are not on your own, and your students will not be on their own. We are here to work with you to make you successful. That's something that they probably didn't hear at their previous institution. With faculty who've been around a long time but haven't been users up till now, either they just plain haven't heard of you, which means that's actually a good piece of information that you need to do more outreach, or they've heard of you and either A, they didn't have much need for that sort of thing. Either they were happy on the desktop or they were a user of national resources, or B, they heard you suck. In which case, again, you've got to do some outreach so they understand that you're awesome. Good. Unless they were at NCSA and they are now where the HPC shop is a one-person show. Yeah, it's an interesting point. The national centers are qualitatively very different from most of our local cyber infrastructure organizations. And that's in many ways a good thing. They can provide a heck of a lot more resources. On the other hand, their resources become oversubscribed on day 2. They have, and well, okay, so let me ask, how many of you at your institution, for researchers to use your resources, they have to submit and go through an elaborate proposal process to get allocated some portion of the local resources? And how many of you that is not at all a requirement and they just throw you in the hamper with everyone else? And okay, everybody else must be in between? What's the in between? Or how many of you are refusing to vote because you don't, if your hand is too heavy, or you don't want to look foolish in front of your, how many of you, I should say the question in a different way?
Well, I'm in between. So when you said that I make soft requirement, every time I find a new user of PI, and like you said, new faculty comes in and they want to have an account to find out we have a HPC. So I tell them, would you please send me 3 or 4 lines, small short paragraph of what your researcher, because we know how to help if you don't have the local resources.
But so there you're trying to get a sense of what they're doing, but that's not an allocation request as such. So how many of you, again, how many of you do allocation requests where they have to go through a formal proposal process? Why don't you do that? Because the national centers do. Shouldn't we be using the models that they've established over what now, a 34-year period? Surely they know what they're doing. Why don't you do it? By the way, we don't do it.
Too much overhead.
It's too much overhead in what sense?
On the researcher's part. You're driving them away, plus, I don't know, that you need to do that level of filtering?
So my feeling about this is even if you do, there's one of this is, I suppose, speculation on my part, although I feel very strongly that I'm right, even though I can't prove it. Isn't that fun? But part of it is they have a certain number of hours per year they can spend writing proposals. We would rather that they use those hours to write proposals to bring money to the university. Anytime they're spending writing proposals to use machines that have already been paid for, that is time they're not spending bringing money in. So it's not a win for the institution. The second part of it is, you know, we have strategies. If someone comes to us and says, you know, I've got this deadline coming in 3 weeks, can you set aside a few nodes for me? for the next 3 weeks, and I can get my jobs run and I don't have to wait in the queue. And we'll do that, right? That's perfectly reasonable. Aside from that, everybody's thrown in the hopper together, right? It's a big meat grinder, and fair share is turned on. So if Janet has been getting a lot of work done lately, then her priority collapses. And if Bob hasn't been getting much work done lately, his priority is fantastic, and Bob gets to jump ahead in line in front of Janet. And that seems to work pretty well. And my suspicion is, and again, I can't prove it, but I'm convinced absolutely that it's true, that if we made them write elaborate allocation requests, we'd have exactly the same outcome. And in the meantime, less money would come in. So it makes sense that the national centers have to do it. For us, it doesn't make sense.
Henry, can I make a comment? This is Anita. I think also it's dependent on your actual funding model. So if 50%, you know, the way we do it, people are buying into the notes. So they're just buying in. We're not asking them to justify why they're buying in or how they're spending. They've already done that. So they're just buying it, and we're just saying, okay, we want to get you on board and going as fast as possible. We leave it up to you to decide who you want to have an account on the cluster for your research group, and you manage all of that. We just do the back end aspect to get them on and then support them from there moving forward. So I think it depends on the funding model. Sure,
and where it's condominium, I mean, I suppose my point of view on this, on condominium, is it's their money, right? And got that money because they're doing good research, and the proof of that is that their peers decided that they should get the money. That is,
exactly,
got funded by a review panel of their peers, and who am I to say that their peers know less about this than I do? I mean, about the
exactly.
You may know more about the cyber infrastructure, but I'm not in a position to say your peers are idiots. You shouldn't be doing this much computing. You should be doing that much computing. It's not my place, and I don't have any legitimacy to make a judgment like that.
Exactly.
Good. Well, we are over our time a little bit, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I think we had an excellent day today. I was very, very happy, super stoked that we beat the record, and in fact, we kept having more and more people, not like huge oceans of more and more people, but I think we're probably approaching 230, so we're probably about 15 above our previous record, and I think we'll catch a few more tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to hit 250. I'm not getting optimistic about that. 230, I think we may even be already there. 240 seems plausible. Even though tomorrow is the last day, yes, even tomorrow, the last day, we will have new people. And I would say there's a better than 50-50 chance that we will have a new registration on the registration website even tomorrow. That seems to be pretty consistent. So we will welcome new participants tomorrow, and we'll see how high we get. So thank you, everybody, for a wonderful day. How many of us are going to dinner tonight? Oh, my goodness. I'm very pleased. Good. So Scratch is affordable foodie food. So if you are a foodie, it's good foodie food. And if you are not a foodie, it's good food, and it's decently priced. It is not ridiculously overpriced foodie food. How many of you are foodies? I'm just curious. Okay. I am myself not a foodie. I will eat the worst dreck. But I will eat any food that's reasonably priced. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in the morning bright and early for our first panel at 9 a.m. Central, so join us about 8:45 Central.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.